Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a mid-shadow deck. This is probably one of the top meta decks at the moment. I know we've looked at a couple lately, or well, a couple weeks ago I guess when looking at the times, but it's been adjusted a little bit. We've had a few kind of changes for the most part. I mean, most people are running at least one Swan now, as it's a great way to get rid of board clear stuff such as Sword, Shadow matchups, Mirrors, Blood. Not so good against Neutral Rune, which is a little bit of a problem, but as a one tech card it's not too bad. Running a double Death's Breath and double Cerberus combo with pretty much all the standard early game stuff. Nothing has really changed on that end. And then the double Immortal Thane and the Demon Lord, so not too much has changed, just those couple of adjustments for cards, and that's pretty much it. It makes the deck work a lot nicer on ladder at the moment. Still, like I said, struggling against Neutral Rune, which is a huge problem, but there's not much you can do because Neutral Rune is just so tempo orientated. It pulls out cards repeatedly and you can't deal with its top end very easily no matter what you're doing. So hopefully you guys enjoy this and we'll get right into some games. First up, we have a Sword matchup. Sword can be a little bit of a problem if you don't deal with their ambushes. Fortunately, this does have a fair amount of targeted and non-targeted removal, meaning that ambush Sword matchups aren't so bad. Still a little tricky if they have a nice tempo, but you can deal with that pretty well if you have an alright hand. Which, Skull Beast, Lurching Corpse and Soul Squasher are a pretty nice hand. After all, Lurching being random target and comboing that with Necro Assassin, so you get double random target, usually a good way to get rid of ambushes. And a nice turn 3 in the Bone Chimera, giving us 3 times the value for one card. Princess Vanguard, pain in the ass card to deal with, especially with the low cost stuff. I do aim to use the Bone Chimera here, just because the Soul Conversion doesn't seem practical right now, and I'd rather save it to hopefully pull off with something else, such as this Komochi Trainee. So taking the chance on that would be a lot better play, at least in my opinion there. Unfortunately, we don't have much else to do. I mean, we can trade this Bone Chimera, proc its 1/1s, build up some shadows, get a little bit more face damage, and then try to hit that ambush. Unfortunately, we don't. We do hit the 1/3 though, which isn't so bad. I mean, the 1/3 would have been a problem with these skeletons on board. So overall, it's not the worst possible outcome, but certainly not the best. And of course, we take a fair bit of damage, something Sword's quite good at doing. Luckily though, that Necro Assassin Lurching Corpse combo does clear both of these. And we have a chance to deal a little bit of damage. A couple 3/3s on board, can't really go too wrong with that. We've also got the Cerberus as the follow-up for here, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, I do go into Vagabond, which is a little bit of a problem. I mean, it's a 3/4 body, making things a little more difficult. Fortunately, we do have Death's Breath. Great way just to stall the board out, and worst case, we get to play Immortal Thane next turn anyway, which should get us a little bit of damage in there. So Sword doesn't really have much to combat this left. I mean, what can they really do turn 6 that would threaten this board? The worst possible case would have been that they played Cyclone Blade on the Frog, killing everything. In which case we would have been in a lot tougher spot, but not many Sword decks run that, so we can be pretty safe in assuming they won't be. Luckily, Lurching Corpse plus the Soul Conversion random targeted removal, still probably the best thing you can use. So I do decide to leave this, as we've got the Demon Lord, which is lethal next turn, so there's no point in using the Demon Eater and putting ourselves one less away from lethal. Luckily, they don't decide to hit the 3/3, which is surprising because if it was me, I probably would have done that anyway, but I'm assuming they thought if Demon Lord's going to come down anyway, they've pretty much lost, so they took the chance of going to face and hoping they could pull off a lethal. Next up we have Dragon. Probably one of the easier matchups if you're playing mid-shadow, although if you do get a little unlucky, then you can quite easily lose to the late game. So you've got to hope that you can just continually flood the board, which is what we do here. We pretty much just flood it out as much as we can, because our hand doesn't end up being too great to combat what they have. So, like I said, a little bit of luck goes a long way against decks most of the time. Fortunately, turn 1 Skull Beast, always a great play. I mean, what else are you going to play turn 1 other than Skull Beast? Fortunately, that Unica though, being difficult. Although, Demon Eater gives us those draw power. I mean, great card, so why not take advantage of it? Unfortunately, yeah, the trade was bound to happen there. There wasn't much else they could really do. But this Bone Chimera should hopefully get the trade off. So the problem here was that I couldn't build a board against this Unica. If I could have done that earlier, I would have been in an okay spot, but unfortunately, they happen to have a half decent board. Well, we had to try and play around most of it by building our own board as much as we could. Which is basically what I spent this whole turn doing, was pump up the board, draw some cards, do whatever we can, throw the evolve on the Lurching Corpse because that's a really nice play. Being able to have that evolved means that we can ram face with it, or they're going to have to force trade into it. So either way, we're in a good spot. Not wanting to give them that evolve point, I try and avoid doing it as much as I can, while throwing out as much damage as I can for this turn. 6 there, with the Lurching and the Skeleton, and of course the Cerberus on board is 3, so we're not going to be board cleared, at least not easily. They're going to have to try and find a way to do that. They were ramping right up to 10, pretty much as fast as they could at this point. Luckily there's 4-3 though, doesn't matter what it hits. But they do get some alright trades. Luckily we do have a pretty full hand. I mean, we've got pretty much everything we could really need. Especially that Necro Assassin, which is great for dealing with things like Bahamut. Which is why I actually played Lurching Corpse this turn, because if they're going to Bahamut, the Lurching Corpse will counter that. Similar to how Tribunal counters it. So I thought, why not? Give it a shot. Unfortunately, Breath of the Salamander does clear out the board. It was a risk. I mean, I was going to make myself weak to that pretty much deliberately. Luckily, Swan actually gets some play here. Not the matchup you'd usually use Swan in, but when they're playing double Unica on this board, may as well use it as a way to deal with things. And I didn't want to be playing Demon Lord and risk the Bahamut completely wrecking and wasting my entire turn. So this was actually a pretty okay play. I was quite happy playing out that. Their healing though is absolutely crazy. I mean, they just go absolutely insane with it. Ramp plus healing, probably the worst thing a card game could have. Like in one archetype. I mean, if they were separate, it probably wouldn't be so bad. You either ramp into big things or you heal. Pick one, Dragon. Pick one. Suckle Hill, pretty pain in the ass when there's something Isabel, so they do get the double trade here. Plus the unfortunate Dragon Warrior, which completely clears out the board, making my life just that little bit more difficult. Fortunately though, we do have this Demon Eater and Necro Assassin, and even better, Bone Chimera. May as well use it. I mean, take advantage of that Demon Eater, especially since we're still good enough to use the Necro Assassin. And the trade-off here, so we don't accidentally hit the 4-3 and then can't kill the 4-4 in a practical way. Even though the evolve on the Necro might have actually been better. But another Dragoon Cypher. So we do have double Demon Lord, meaning we get at least a couple of floods here, and we have plenty of shadows built up over this game. Not so lucky though, they're Sybil, making my life a living hell, one Sybil at a time. Luckily, a couple of these zombies rammed into it, do the job pretty nicely. And Lurching Corpse, again, to stop that Bahamut threat. May as well use that wherever we can. Unfortunately, another Cycle Hill, which pretty much guarantees a Isafel play, which absolutely sucks. Luckily, this Lurching Corpse does kill the 4-4. I was hoping it would hit the Isafel though, because then it would have actually got some decent value. So pretty much just got a Tendon, and a Lyrial. No point using the Demon Lord, absolutely none at this point. And another Civil. I mean, come on. The amount of healing this dragon had, absolutely crazy. I think I nearly dealt with 40 damage to their face by this point. Maybe not that much, but must be getting close up there. Luckily though, another Death's Breath. That's why we have 2. And the Immortal Thane is another nice way to flood the board. But that Bahamut finally coming down. You know, we've been waiting forever for a Bahamut to drop. Now we've got to spend a whole Demon Lord to get rid of it. Could have used the Zombie Party, but I chose not to. Just because I wanted to be a little careful. I didn't want the Zombie Party just going for it. I wanted to save it in case I needed to fill the board again. I couldn't take the risk of just not having a Zombie Party available to me. And of course, another Sybil. So that's 3 of them at this point. All 3 of them played out. Luckily, we have the 5-6, which does kill it this turn, and we can actually Immortal Thane, which is half decent. Since we now have 2 Immortal Thanes, it's actually not so bad. Fortunately, another Salamander play. I mean, I don't know why they kind of didn't just Salamander to start with. Luckily though, we can flood the board pretty quickly. The Soul Squasher and the Immortal Thane, plus the 4-5 to 0 is always great. Especially since it has Bane. Worst case would have been Bahamut, but it was a risk I had to take there. There wasn't much else I could do. If they Bahamuted anyway, I would have been screwed, so this was my only decent time to push for lethal. Unfortunately, Soul Conversion, making that Soul Squash should give me some extra value. While also letting me set up this Attendant, so even if they do play the Bahamut, I still have a chance at winning. Them not having Bahamut last turn really made this game. Luckily, it doesn't matter what they drew, they're pretty damn screwed by that point. And our final matchup is against Rune. So, all the classes. Pretty sure this was a D-shift though, and not a neutral rune. The couple of neutral runes I did come up against pretty much wiped the board with this deck. I mean, it's just a bad matchup. So there's not much you can really do with that. You either have to get lucky with a nice hand and hope they have a bad hand, or just hope against hope that you can win. Skull Beast turn 1, we have Lyrial available turn 2, or the Zombie Party, either one actually is pretty nice. This is actually a Golem rune, I'm guessing it's some kind of hybrid deck, because we do later see a Merlin I'm pretty sure drop, so it wouldn't be surprising if it is a hybrid deck. I've seen a few floating around of Golem shifts. Of course they're going to spend their spells however they can. They want to get those value spell plays so they can clear stuff while also pumping up whatever they've got in hand to spell boost. Luckily Zombie Party actually deals with this. I was going to be a little worried, so doing it this way was actually alright. And playing out a Soul Squasher, I thought go for that early pressure. If it is a D-shift variant of any kind, that early pressure is really important. Merlin though, coming out, of course. This is what made me suspect it was some form of D-shift hybrid combo. Fortunately, they haven't got many targets they can trade into here. all of them are pretty valueless to them. Well, for me it doesn't really matter because the Necro Assassin, either way, gets really good value. I either get the double shadow from the Skull Beasts and clear that, or they would have ran the 3-3 and I would have got a couple more. Time Worn Mage though, definitely a problem card. And those zero cost Fate's Hand, something to watch out for when you're playing against D-Shift. If they're playing zero cost Fate's Hand, you know you're in for a bad time. Luckily we get to set up these wards. Quite an important key card against D-Shift players. You want to be able to ward them out once they do get to about turn 6, turn 7. That way if they can D-Shift, it's going to make it a lot harder to go from 20 to 0. Not quite the top deck I wanted, but close enough. We do get to do 7 damage here. Only 2 off lethal. If we had have drawn into our Hector, we would have had lethal, but beggars can't be choosers, so we do what we can. Put them to 2. Set up our board for the best part we can. Unfortunately, they're closer and closer to a D-Shift play. A lot of zero drop spells, a lot of low cost spells. But not close enough, which is pretty damn lucky. And that about rounds up the current mid-shadow deck that I've been using, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, the deck list will be in the description below. You can mess with the numbers to suit your playstyle, or just play the deck straight as is. So hope you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.